Hello and good evening. Storytelling time, and tonight it's one from Iceland by one of its greatest authors, Snorri Sturluson. He was born in Iceland of an old Icelandic family, received a good education, acquired wealth through marriage, and became a powerful landowner. He made several visits to Norway, where he was well received at court. Later in life, he was implicated in political quarrels and wars, and was finally murdered by his son-in-law, imagine. He wrote many sagas, the Heimskringla and the prose or younger Edda. His work was founded upon oral tradition and the writings of the earlier poets and historians, not later ones, obviously. Sturluson's long works are full of episodes and incidents, and many of which, like Baldr's Bale, are unified short stories. This version is from the translation of the prose Edda, published by the American Scandinavian Foundation in New York in 1916, so it's in the public domain before 1923. And I'm the proud owner of Snorri's walking stick, which has a little hand, as you can see, so it may have also served as a kind of back scratcher. And I'll read the story to you. Baldr's Bale. Many decades ago, I was able to read Old Icelandic, part of my English studies, comparative literature, but I've forgotten how to pronounce certain names, and so I'll just rely on famous singer-songwriter Björk's kind of Anglo-Icelandic accent, where she has this strange R sound, like in between a trilled and a rolled R, like Italian versus English R. So it's somewhere like very strange, like a hard shuffle. She gets away with it anyway. It's getting chilly in the evening, so I'm wearing Snorri's shawl. Here we go, Baldr's Bale. Now shall be told of those tidings which seemed of more consequence to the Aesir. The beginning of the story is this, that Baldr the Good dreamed great and perilous dreams touching his life. When he told these dreams to the Aesir, then they took counsel together, and this was their decision, to ask safety for Baldr from all kinds of dangers. And Frigg took oaths to this purport, that fire and water should spare Baldr, likewise iron and metal of all kinds, stones, earth, trees, sicknesses, beasts, birds, venom, serpents, snakes. And when that was done and made known, then it was a diversion of Baldr's and the Aesir, that he should stand up in the thing, and all the others some shoot at him, some hew at him, some beat him with stones, but whatsoever was done hurt him not at all. And that seemed to them all a very worshipful thing. But when Loki Laufeyarson saw this, it pleased him ill that Baldr took no hurt. He went to Fensalir to Frigg and made himself into the likeness of a woman, think Boy George. Then Frigg asked if that woman knew what the Aesir did at the thing. She said that all were shooting at Baldr, and moreover that he took no hurt. Then said Frigg, neither weapons nor trees may hurt Baldr. I've taken oaths of them all. Then the woman asked, have all things taken oaths to spare Baldr? And Frigg answered, there grows a tree sprout alone westward of Valhall. It's called mistletoe. I thought it too young to ask the oath of. Then straightway the woman turned away, but Loki took mistletoe and pulled it up and went to the thing. Hurr stood outside the ring of men, because he was blind. Then spake Loki to him, why dost thou not shoot at Baldr? He answered, because I see not where Baldr is, and for this also that I am weaponless. Then said Loki, do thou also after the manner of other men, and show Baldr honor as the other men do. I will direct thee where he stands. Shoot at him with this wand. Hurr took mistletoe and shot at Baldr, being guided by Loki. The shaft flew through Baldr, and he fell dead to the earth. and that was the greatest mischance that has ever befallen among gods and men. Then, when Baldr was fallen, words failed all the Aesir, and their hands likewise to lay hold of him. Each looked at the other, and all were of one mind as to him who had wrought the work. But none might take vengeance, so great a sanctuary was in that place. But when the Aesir tried to speak, then it befell first that weeping broke out, so that none might speak to the others with words concerning his grief. But Odin bore that misfortune by so much the worse, as he had most perception of how great harm and loss for the Aesir were in the death of Baldr. Now when the gods had come to themselves, Frigg spake, and asked who there might be among the Aesir who would fain have for his own all her love and favour. Let him ride the road to Hel. This is a Scandinavian version of hell, but it sounds more sinister somehow. Hel. And seek if he may find Baldr, and offer Hel a ransom if she will let Baldr come home to Asgard. And he is named Hermodr the Bold, Odin's son, who undertook that embassy. Then Sleipnir was taken, Odin's steed, and led forward, and Hermodr mounted on that horse and galloped off. The Aesir took the body of Baldr and brought it to the sea. Hringhorni is the name of Baldr's ship. It was the greatest of all ships. The gods would have launched it and made Baldr's pyre thereon, but the ship stirred not forward. Then word was sent to Jotunheim after that giantess who is called Hyrrokin. When she had come, riding a wolf and having a viper for bridle, why not? Then she leaped off the steed, and Odin called to 4 berserks to tend the steed, but they were not able to hold it until they'd felled it. Then Hyrrokin went to the prow of the boat and thrust it out at the first push, so that fire burst from the rollers and all lands trembled. Thor became angry and clutched his hammer and would straightway have broken her head, had not the gods prayed for peace for her. Then was the body of Baldr borne out on shipboard, and when his wife, Nanna, the daughter of Nep, saw that, straightway her heart burst with grief, and she died. She was borne to the pyre, and fire was kindled. Then Thor stood by and hallowed the pyre with Mjolnir, and before his feet ran a certain dwarf, which was named Litr. Thor kicked at him with his foot and thrust him into the fire, and he burned. People of many races visited this burning. First is to be told of Odin, how Frigg and the Valkyrs went with him, and his ravens. But Freyr drove in his chariot with the boar called Goldmane, or Fearful Tusk, and Heimdall rode the horse called Goldtop, and Freyja drove her cats. Thither came also much people of the Rime giants and the hill giants. Odin laid on the pyre that gold ring which is called Draupnir. This quality attended it, and that every 9th night there dropped from it 8 gold rings of equal weight. Baldr's horse was led to the balefire with all his trappings. Now this to be told concerning Hermodr, that he rode 9 nights through dark dales and deep, so that he saw not before he was come to the river Gjöll, and rode onto the Gjöll bridge, which bridge is thatched with glittering gold. Excuse me. But Godur is the maiden called who guards the bridge. She asked him his name and race, saying that the day before there had ridden over the bridge 5 companies of dead men. But the bridge thunders no less under thee alone, and thou hast not the colour of dead men. Why ridest thou thither on Hilwi? He answered, I am appointed to ride to Hil to seek out Baldr. Hast thou perchance seen Baldr on Hilwi? She said that Baldr had ridden there over Gill's bridge, but down in north lieth Hilwi. No wonder Scandinavians are half smashed most of the time. Icelanders have erected, would you believe it, a phallological museum which attracts many American macho men who have decided to donate their phallus and male member to the museum, and it's always closed when they arrive. So their wives tell them, bring it back home in a kind of lunch box with a mini refrigerator. Unimaginable. But anyway, back to the story. Hilwy. Then her mother rode on till he came to Hillgate. He dismounted from his steed and made his girths fast, mounted and pricked him with his spurs. And the steed leaped so hard over the gate that he came no wise near to it. Then Hermodr rode home to the hall and dismounted from his steed, went into the hall and saw sitting there in the high seat Baldr, his brother, and Hermodr tarried there overnight. At morn, her mother prayed Hill that Baldr might ride home with him, and told how great weeping was among the Aesir. But Hill said that in this wise it should be put to the test, whether Baldr were so all-beloved as had been said. If all things in the world, quick and dead, weep for him, then he shall go back to the Aesir, but he shall remain with Hill if any gainsay it or will not weep. Then her mother arose, but Baldr led him out of the hall to the ring Draupnir and sent it to Odin for remembrance. And Nanna sent Frigg a linen smock, and yet more gifts, and to Fulla a golden finger ring, opposed to a toe ring, I suppose. Then Hermodr rode his way back and came into Asgard, and told all his tidings which he had seen and heard. Thereupon the Aesir sent over all the world messengers to pray that Baldr be wept out of Hill. And all men did this, and quick things, and the earth and stones and trees and all metals, even as thou must have seen that these things weep when they come out of frost and into the heat, melting process. Then, when the messengers went home, having well wrought their errand, they found in a certain cave where a giantess sat. She called herself Thuk. They prayed her to weep Baldr out of Hill. She answers, Thuk will weep waterless tears for Baldr's balefare. Living or dead, I love not the churl's son. Let Hill hold to that she hath. And men deem that she who was there was Loki Laufeyarson, who hath wrought most ill among the Aesir. That was all for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time.